What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for you rascals and rapscallions out there. As always, I hope everybody's having a great weekend, watching some spooky movies and whatnot, and having a great Memorial Day weekend. I'll tell you guys what, I'm so happy to have tomorrow off. It is Sunday while I'm recording this, and I'm just thinking, I don't want to go back to work tomorrow. In fact, I don't ever want to go back. I want to retire early, but that's not in the cards, so I'll just accept the Monday for now. But anyways, I appreciate everybody that watched the video yesterday, my 5 tips to collecting physical media. And I figured I'd pump out another video today because I really like the idea of this. And, with that being said, I wanted to ask you guys a favor. I don't normally ask this. To me, if you want to subscribe to my channel or not, it's whatever. I just appreciate anybody that watches and talking with you guys. But I am 2 subs away from 1,400, and just the OCD of things, that's a nice solid number to get to. So if you haven't subbed and you'd like to, feel free. I would definitely appreciate it. But anyways, on to the topic at hand. I'm going to talk about 5 horror movies that I think would make great TV shows. And as a lot of you guys know and are aware of, there's a pretty strong history with horror on TV. Tales from the Crypt being probably the best one. Everyone's favorite that we could talk about. I remember not having HBO growing up, but whenever, you get it for free sometimes, I was always so excited to watch Tales from the Crypt all the time. And in more recent time, we've had Ash vs. Evil Dead and the Creep Show TV show, anthology show, which are 2 of my favorites. I enjoyed the Chucky show for what I watched. I only seen the first season. I heard it gets pretty weird, like, moving forward. And, obviously we're going to be getting the Camp Crystal Lake Friday the 13th TV show soon with that ugly-looking Jason. And then Welcome to Derry, the It TV show, which I think that one will be pretty good because, obviously, the original TV special with 2 different movies, then It Chapter 1 and 2. I mean, it's a really long book. There's a lot to go off of, so that should be pretty fun. But anyways, with that being said, let's hop right into my list. 5 horror movies I think would make great TV shows. And I'm going to kind of go with one of the more obvious choices here. I've heard a lot of people mention this before, and I agree 100%. We got to do 13 Ghosts. And I feel like I read somewhere that this is actually a possibility at one point. But, who knows? And this would be great for the obvious. Everybody wants to get a background on all 13 ghosts, the history on what happened to them, how they died, how they became a ghost, all that fun stuff. And, with 13 ghosts, that sounds like the perfect amount of episodes. Maybe have 14 or 15, have a final episode, maybe a 2-part episode to kind of become more of a sequel to the original. I think that'd be a lot of fun. This movie isn't the best, but I've always really liked it. Visually, it looks really good. You got Shannon Elizabeth and Matthew Lillard in here, so you can't go wrong. Even the guy who's the main actor in the TV show Monk, that's like the dad. So pretty well casted and everything, and just a pretty interesting movie that kind of leaves a lot to, a lot to be desired, I should say. So 13 Ghosts, kind of the more obvious one. I think that would be a great TV show. Okay, and next up, I mentioned we have Ash vs. Evil Dead. So I guess more of a spin-off from that. I would love to see a TV show of Army of Darkness. Bring Bruce Campbell back and let's do this. Now, I think there's a couple ways you could go about this, and both ways could be pretty fun. And you could even combine both ideas. This could be a straight-up show about him living in the medieval times and fighting the Deadites and everything. I think it would be really cool to see a horror show like that back in that time, just like the movie. I'm not too big into like medieval TV shows and movies of that kind, but obviously I love Ash vs. Evil Dead. Amazing release too, 4-disc release, great 4K scan from Scream Factory, beautiful steelbook. But I just think that would be a lot of fun to have him fighting off Deadites and everything in medieval times. Or you could take a different spin on this and you could make it like, because he traveled back in time somehow to get there. What if he was able to time travel in general? Maybe I'm reaching out here a little too far, but this is Evil Dead that we're talking about. What if we had Bruce Campbell traveling through time, different eras, to fight off the Deadites? Like he's like the time cop to go around and kill them off in different times and situations and everything. Which Time Cop would make a pretty badass show as well. But I just think there's a handful of ways to go around with this, and you can't go wrong with Bruce Campbell. He's amazing. So those are just a couple thoughts on why I think that would be pretty groovy. Now, next up, I know a lot of these picks are kind of going based on the lore in a way, where you could dig deeper with the stories. Now, I think this could be pretty fun right here. Pumpkinhead, one of my all-time favorite horror movies, my favorite creature feature of all time. But I just think you could go base this on like the lore of the old lady that's the witch and Pumpkinhead himself, how he became the demon and everything. I'm not sure if it's explained further. I think they explained it a bit in part 2 where he got killed, like thrown in the well or something. But I think you could go back and dig deeper into the mythology of Pumpkinhead and everything, or you could do something where each episode is somebody getting Pumpkinhead summoned to get revenge on them for separate things that they do is evil. Or it could even be one person that has that against them, and they're trying to flee from Pumpkinhead. Maybe have some kind of hero that knows the history of Pumpkinhead come into town to try to hunt him down and everything. I think there's a lot of fun ways you could go with this, and this always being known as like a pretty visually good movie. I think one of the best, the way it's shot, the lighting and everything. I think you could do a lot of cool things with this, especially if you went with practical effects and made the monster itself look like it did in the original. It doesn't hold up as much as they go forward, but I think Pumpkinhead would be a really fun TV show, and I'm going to always push for more Pumpkinhead in general anyways. Okay, now here is one. I've only seen this movie once, and that is Cabin in the Woods. Shout out to my friend Pope Brandon Brownson. He is the one that did the intro music for all my videos. And if you want to check out his music on Spotify, he's got a whole bunch of great stuff. Does like electronic music and whatnot. I joke about my buddy Pope because when I first started my YouTube channel, he requested that I review Cabin in the Woods. And after all these years, I still haven't done it. So fuck you, Pope. I'm just kidding. And yes, his name, he does go by Pope, which is pretty cool. I love you, Pope. But anyways, this is a very strange movie. I remember the first time I seen it, like, thinking, like, the main jockey guy was going to be, like, the hero. I'd never laughed so hard when he jumps that motorcycle and hits that force field. But just the way this movie twists was very interesting. How it became, like, all the people in the headquarters kind of controlling, like, the fear and the kills, almost like it's a game and everything. So I think there's a lot to be desired that you could go further into all of that story. And when they show like the small screens of all the monsters and different killers and everything in the end, like, it's pretty fun if you go back and watch this. Or at least I did the one time I did watch it. I paused it and I looked at all those little boxes at all the different monsters and creatures they had at like the headquarters. And I think you could kind of have fun with each character in a way, getting into all of them and why they do this and everything. I think it's just such an out there movie, and there's so much to explain. But this could make a pretty fun TV show. Watch, they probably made a show of one of these, and I don't even know. Now, here, for one, is a very beautiful release, and I think I might actually watch all 4 of these pretty soon, because I still have yet, after all this time, to crack into this. You guys know how it is as a collector, but I'm talking about Hellraiser. Now, wouldn't that be a pretty fun show? I was talking to my buddy at work about this, my buddy Shay, that this could be just pretty interesting. I think of it like, what is it, Phantasm 2 or 3, where they're on the road. Make this more of like a road adventure story where like somebody could have possession of the box, and you could have somebody that knows everything about it and the history, and they could be chasing after it, trying to stop the next person from opening it, or trying to get into the box itself, go into the gates of hell and trying to stop the Cenobites. And you could go into the lore and everything of the box itself. You could have, each episode could be somebody opening the box. You could have multiple people just open the box in random episodes. There's just a lot you could do with it, especially going in through the box, like into hell and everything, the different Cenobites, the history between them, how they became what they were, the history of the box itself. Just, Clive Barker was a genius. He didn't put out enough movies, if I'm being quite honest, or enough movies didn't get made from his work. Pretty much this and Nightbreed and Rawhead Rex, right? There's not much more after that. But I just think Hellraiser, there's a lot of directions to go with it. Like I said, make it more of an adventure show in a strange way. I just picture like some guy like, was it Clayton Dukes from Jason Goes to Hell, which I absolutely hate. Have like some fucking cowboy out chasing the guy as the box. Have some rich asshole maybe in possession trying to sell it off, and people getting ripped apart, taken into it, more lore into the Cenobites. Like I said, there's so many directions you could go with this. And they already made the movie and put it on what? Who was that? Hulu? Why not make a fucking movie out of this? You know, you could have a cameo from Doug Bradley. I know he's not getting any younger and everything. I just think this could be pretty damn rad. Hellraiser. And like I said, beautiful release. I still have yet to open this up. You know, here I am making a video yesterday where I'm saying, like, have patience, don't buy stuff that's going to sit on your shelf, but when it's something you like, you guys know how it is collecting. Sometimes it takes a while to get to it. So I'm going to leave this out. I might actually watch all 4 of these movies. But anyways, yeah, those are my 5 picks for 5 horror movies that I think could make great TV shows. Now, let me know in the comments below which horror movies you think could be made into pretty kick-ass shows. I think a lot of these would be really fun. I think horror, in a lot of ways, is horror sci-fi are the shows that have some of the most depth that you could make into horror movies. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised there isn't more, even though there's been quite a bit. I'd like to see a lot more original stuff out there, that's for sure. But, yeah, I definitely think those would all be pretty damn cool. But anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Blood, guts, and gore. I will check you guys next time.